Today I'm playing the new NFL with all the completed blockbuster moves to get an inside look into who will be next year's Super Bowl champion. But we're picking up where we are in real life, starting with the NFL draft, to see who Madden thinks will get drafted where after taking all the new moves into account. I mean, of course the Bears took Caleb Williams with the first pick, and the Commanders go with Drake May. Surprise, surprise. Now, following the draft throughout next season, I'm also excited to see which offseason moves end up being massive dubs, but also interested to see which signings end up as flops. Now, in today's first shocker, the Patriots pass up on Jaden Daniels and select Fashanu. All I know right now, dude, is Patriots fans are absolutely livid. Now, with the fourth pick, the Cardinals, you'd expect Marvin Harrison here, and it goes Joe Alt, 2 back-to-back tackles. So that means the Chargers have a chance to take Marvin Harrison here. If the first 5 picks of this dang Madden draft come to life, the NFL world might definitely burn. And again, once we do finish this draft, I'm going to simulate a total of 3 seasons to see how much this particular offseason has an effect on the future of the league. But in the meantime, let's see if Marvin Harrison Jr. goes to the Chargers. What the frick is going on right now? Hold on a second. Marvin Harrison's in the game, right? There he is. He's just been passed up on. I'm so confused. I'm shocked Jaden Daniels hasn't got picked yet. I don't know what's going on. If this is any indication of how this video is going to go, this is going to be a wild one. Now, surely the New York Giants, who basically have 0 offensive weapons at this point, there's no way they pass up on Marvin Harrison Jr. They went Jaden Daniels, which I guess is respectable, which, hilarious enough, means my Tennessee Titans could take Marvin Harrison Jr. with the 7th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, and we went Dallas Turner. I want to puke. What on God's earth are we doing? Oh, I'm sick. We went with Dallas Turner, and now the Falcons, I don't think they're going to take Marvin Harrison Jr. They already have good wide receivers. They went Byron Murphy. I am absolutely perplexed at this point. Marvin Harrison, Malik Neighbors, Rome Odunze, Brock Bowers, all still available. Somebody needs to be fired. Somebody has got to undergo a drug test. The Bears are about to end up with Caleb Williams and Marvin, right? And they do. That is just not even fair. Bears fans, rejoice. You might win the freaking Super Bowl next year. Caleb's literally going to have DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and Marvin Harrison to throw to. That is insane. Now, this is Brock Bowers to the Jets with the 10th pick. I'm sure Aaron Rodgers is happy about that. Now the Vikings at 11, this could be where JJ McCarthy goes, and it goes to Jared Verse. Now since the Vikings skipped out on the quarterback, surely that means the Broncos are all over JJ McCarthy here, and they go Cooper DeJean. These teams are just making some insane picks. Now again, the Raiders are another spot where JJ McCarthy could go, and they go with Terrion Arnold. This is just insane. No idea what the Saints do. They go left tackle and Troy Fautanu. As a Titans fan, I'm just glad at this point the Colts aren't going to get Brock Bowers, and they get Latai Latu. Good player, but at least it's not Brock Bowers. The Seahawks, ooh, they could go a bunch of different ways, and they go center, which Jackson Powers Johnson is a monster, so like it might be a little high for a center, but hey, he should be a freaking career starter there in Seattle. And the Jacksonville Jags, Malik Neighbors hasn't been selected yet. If he goes 17 to a division rival, I'm going to be so upset. And they go Nate Wiggins. Brother, these general managers are on methamphetamine.
You got me.
The fact that really all 4 of these guys are still there is just wild. Oh no, the Bengals gonna grab Malik Neighbors. It goes JC Latham, which is actually an incredible pick for them. Absolutely no idea what the Rams are gonna do at number 19. They go Darius Robinson, who is just an absolute monster. A little bit higher than what I thought he would go. They surely need defensive line help now, knowing that Aaron Donald's gone. At this point, dude, I have no idea what these teams are gonna do. The Steelers go Armarius Mims. Their second second straight year taking a Georgia offensive tackle, which is interesting. Ooh, the Dolphins with pick number 21, they go Malik Neighbors. That just isn't fair. Malik Neighbors, who should have gone probably in the top 5, top 6, at least top 7, get added to a wide receiver core, you know, of Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. We're only a few minutes into this video and so many laws of physics have already been broken. And now we're giving the Eagles Rome Odunze. I'm telling you, dude, some sort of demonic activities going on here. At least none of those 2 receivers are going to get paired up with Justin Jefferson. He at least gets himself a new left tackle, which makes like 0 sense because they already have 2 very quality, expensive offensive tackles. Oh, what are the Dallas Cowboys going to do with pick number 24? They get Quinyon Mitchell. Dude, he is locked down. Like, that might give the Cowboys the best cornerback room in the entire league. Now, what on God's green earth are these Green Bay Packers going to do here with pick 25? They're going to select Newton from Illinois, which I feel like that's a good addition there. Bucks go Tyler Guyton, another very talented young offensive tackle. Don't think that's a terrible move. Now, the Cardinals have another pick here, 27. They go with Edgerrin Cooper, probably the best linebacker in the draft, arguably. So not a bad move there. Now, what's Buffalo going to do? They might have to go receiver here. No, they go Chop Robinson to help out that defense. Now, what does old Dan Campbell have up his sleeve here with pick number 29? He goes with Chris Braswell, another solid front 7 defender. Now, the Ravens are another team here with pick number 30 that could go a bunch of different directions, and they go wide receiver Brian Thomas, which I think is an excellent selection. Oh, that's kind of bad for the North there. Now, your reigning NFC Conference champion, the San Francisco 49ers. Oh no, they go Adonai Mitchell. That is an insane fit. And that's just not fair for the rest of the league, dude. Mitchell is a freak. Now, talk about not being fair for the rest of the league. Pick number 32, Kansas City Chiefs. Just at least they don't get Mitchell themselves. They're going to go after Graham Barton. I have to admit, that's not what I was expecting. He looks just like a toe. I have no idea, though, where is he going to play? They already have 3 interior linemen over 90 overall. And they have pretty half-decent offensive tackles too. So that kind of is a head scratcher. Now, I guess we will see the Panthers pick here because, you know, they didn't have a first-round draft pick and all. With their first pick of the draft, they select, I'm assuming, receiver Kool-Aid McKinstry, which I feel like we all could probably agree that they'd have been better off served there to take one of these wide receivers. But as we head into the second round, there's still some super talented players remaining. So now we're going to simulate to the end of the draft and see where some of the bigger remaining prospects ended up. And I also want to see here who I think had the best draft class. 81 rated Marvin Harrison goes number 9. Like, who allowed that? Just an insane draft. Insane. You have 79 Malik Neighbors goes to the Dolphins. 78 Rome Odunze goes to the Eagles. And you did have a few late first round stinkers. All the receivers are great. Now, you did have JJ McCarthy fall to the Patriots here, which I'm sure Patriots fans will be happy not having to use a first round pick on a quarterback. And then immediately after that, you had Bo Nix go to the Chargers. Why? That makes no sense. Honestly, might be the craziest pick we've seen so far, and that's saying a lot. And you did have the Raiders land their quarterback in the second round and Michael Penix Jr. There's just so many good receivers. Though the Eagles got another one, Keon Coleman. What are they doing in Philadelphia? How many receivers do you need? Oh, the Jags got Xavier Worthy. I don't really like that. Bengals got a receiver in the second. There's just so many good ones. Steelers got Ricky Pearsall. Definitely some interesting fits in this draft. Michael Pratt goes to Green Bay in the third. Like, why are they taking a quarterback? Ooh, Braylon Allen goes to the Steelers. Spencer Rattler goes to the Bills in the third round. This has just got to be one of the craziest drafts in NFL history. At least the Vikings did get a quarterback, although be it in the fourth round. Why are the Panthers taking Joe Milton? Like, I don't understand that one. Now, I have to admit, it's going to be really difficult to find a draft class better than the Bears. And the Bills draft class, honestly, might be one of the worst. Now, the Cardinals had a very good and deep deep class. I think Chargers fans would probably burn down their stadium if this is really what happened. And it might not be the best, but the Rams just did a magnificent job at getting quality in this class. Not a single player in 6 picks under 71 rated. Not only did the Ravens get Brian Thomas in the first round, they got Malik Washington, who somehow fell all the way to almost Mr. Irrelevant. Seahawks ended with the good class too, as did the Steelers. No superstars, but a bunch of quality. But yeah, with Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison and a few of these other guys, nobody's beating the Bears class. But it's now time to put these draft classes into action as we do simulate into the start of the 2024 NFL season before inevitably all kinds of madness ensues. I mean, there's still some pretty okay players in free agency if you need a decent wide receiver. But as much as this scene right here breaks my heart, I would gain at least a minute sense of gratitude if this guy could finally win a ring. Now, I am gonna guess in his first season as a Raven, he's gotta go for at least, 1,400 yards. I'll be sure to check that at the end of the season, as obviously I'm also gonna check how some of the other big names did that changed teams this offseason. Watch the freaking Panthers go 17-0 or some nonsense. What a start! My Titans came in dead last again. But as you can see, seems like Madden expects a pretty big drop-off from CJ Stroud. As we check some of the other divisions, obviously the Ravens went wild. 14-3 with Derrick Henry. They scored so many points. That had to be the best offense in the league. Bengals bounce back this season to make the playoffs. Steelers and Browns miss out. Gonna have to see if either Russell Wilson or Justin Fields started this season. The Dolphins finally win the AFC East with the Bills getting a wild card spot. Looks like an Aaron Rodgers who played more than one quarter wasn't good enough to bring the Jets back to the playoffs. And the Patriots, think it's safe to say it was a rebuilding year. What a surprise! The Chiefs win the AFC West. Now I am super shocked that Antonio Pierce and the Raiders went 11-6 and made the playoffs. Doesn't shock me that the Chargers and Broncos had a stinker. Now moving on into the NFC, the Packers reclaim their throne back on top of the NFC North. Although the Lions still do make the playoffs, Vikings did much better than expected without Kirk Cousins, and I am shocked that the Bears with Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison and Keenan Allen and everybody else they added only won 6 games. Guess the misery never ends for Chicago fans. Now in the NFC South, the Falcons and Kirk Cousins get it done. Every other team in the South was just very, very mid. At least the Panthers improved quite a bit, so good for Bryce. And obviously, you're going to check how all these players did individually this season. The Cowboys, of course, win the division. The Giants go 10-7 with very few playmakers. They scored 334 points, 100 plus points less than the Eagles, but won more games than them. Somebody's getting fired in Philly, although they still made the playoffs with their bad season, and consider me shocked that the Commanders about made the playoffs. Like, my God, dude, the Eagles were 1 game away from finishing in last place. And the NFC West was a complete disaster outside of the 49ers. Honestly shocked that the Rams did so bad. I mean, I guess they are missing Aaron Donald. Of course, the Chiefs, by far, had the best offense in the league. Dolphins in second, Cowboys in third. Falcons with Kirk Cousins had the 4th best offense, and the Ravens with Derrick Henry and Lamar had a top 5-0. Packers and Eagles up there as well. Broncos, Chargers, Browns, Patriots, and Bucks all had absolute stinkers. Let me look at this discrepancy. The Chiefs scored 33.3 points per game, while the Chargers and Justin Herbert scored 14.5. Now, the Ravens lost their defensive coordinator, but still finished with the best defense in the league, followed by the Panthers, which is a shock. The Raiders had a great defense as well, as did the Cowboys and Jags. Saints, Broncos, and Titans had horrible defenses, and again, Eagles had a top 5 worst defense in the league. Broncos almost gave up 500 points. That is wild. Look at my boy Will Levis with a decent season. Tony Pollard definitely not as impressive as what Derrick Henry's been, who we will check his stats in a second. Treylon Burks eclipsed 1,000 yards, which is great news, but what is not great news is our almost $100 million receiver had 750 yards. Look at Sam Darnold with an incredible season. Look at Aaron Jones balling out. Now, where in the world did Richie James come from to eclipse 1,000 yards? The Vikings almost had 3 1,000-yard receivers. I mean, not bad for rookie Caleb Williams. Well, what a letdown from this receiving core. Marvin Harrison kind of stinky. DeAndre Swift was effective, though. Joe Burrow, just stupid, just dumb. Look at Marquez Valdes-Scantling going the frick off. The Broncos starting quarterback was Sam Hartman, by the way.
Oh! Ew! Dude! What the?
Deshaun Watson, just really bad investment, for this organization. Jerry Jeudy really not performing like they would have hoped for, although that's not terrible. Baker got the big bag and sucked. Like, what happened to Justin Herbert? I'm sure it's something to do with the receiving core, but still somehow Quentin Johnston almost had 1,250 yards. That's just dumb. That's just so silly. Bounce back season from Kadarius Toney, and look at Hollywood Brown putting up 12 touchdowns. Drake May pretty effective in his rookie season, maybe a little bit better than Caleb. Austin Eckler did not do much at all. And like I said, dude, how is this fair? Malik Neighbors gives the Dolphins 3 1,000-yard receivers. Again, what was the point in drafting both Rome Odunze and Keon Coleman, who didn't even catch a single ball? Kirk Cousins with the Falcons had, an okay season. I mean, a lot of yards, maybe not as many touchdowns as I expected. Now, Bijan balled the frick out. All those touchdowns went to the running backs. Drake London with the 1,000-yard season. Darnell Mooney, Rondale Moore had pretty good years, but Kyle Pitts, man, he's still underperforming. No wonder Kirk didn't take number 8 from him. Jaden Daniels took over the starting spot over Daniel Jones. There were probably a little bit too many interceptions. I mean, they still ran the ball pretty freaking well, even without Saquon. How did they make the playoffs with this receiving core? And when did they get Amari Cooper? Apparently, Gabe Davis saved the Jags. Aaron Rodgers finally had a full season and did pretty well. Probably not happy with his interception total, though. I mean, they were pretty freaking close to having 4 1,000-yard receivers, and I just don't know when they got Hunter Renfrow, but it worked out well for them. Ooh, Bryce still kind of sucked. I mean, the wide receiver core is still pretty bad, although Deontay at least had 8 touchdowns. JJ McCarthy did some good, did some bad as a rookie. Again, really didn't have a talented receiving core at his disposal. Gardner Minshew made the playoffs with the Raiders. And look at Alexander Madison with a pretty solid year. Oh, here we go. Time to check Derrick Henry's stats. For starters, Lamar, that's just a dumb year. Stupid. Now, what I'm more interested in, Derrick Henry, it just makes me so sad. Almost 1,500 yards and 12 touchdowns. Only 1 fumble. I hope this man has an incredible season IRL. If he can have a season like this in real life, I'll be happy for him. Look at their young receiver, Brian Thomas, putting in a little dirty work his rookie season. And it did end up actually being Justin Fields in Pittsburgh, which he had an okay year. He even ran the ball pretty well. Guess they just didn't have the talent at receiver. They had to rely on 57-year-old Odell Beckham Jr. So, of course, it was Patrick Mahomes to lead the league in passing yards and passing touchdowns. Now, Derrick Henry didn't lead the league in rushing yards. Dude, that goes to Josh Jacobs on the Green Bay Packers. 1,700 yards and 15 touchdowns. Not to mention Joe Mixon's 1,600 yards on the Texans. Almost 1,700 yards, 12 touchdowns. CMC doing CMC things. Look at Pacheco with 22 touchdowns. Also, not to mention Saquon Barkley on the Eagles with 1,500 yards and 14 touchdowns. This has just been such a wild video up to this point. Like, I don't know what crazier stuff can happen. I just already know we're gonna have some really, really obscure random team win the Super Bowl this season. Look at J.K. Dobbins on the Cowboys, however this happened. And you actually had DeAndre Hopkins lead the NFL in receiving yards. Now you had Brandon Ayuk lead with 19 receiving touchdowns. Lamb with 16, Rashee Rice with 14. Hollywood Brown had the most of any newcomer with 12. Quentin Johnson was the most top 5 receiver. That's kind of silly. Look at Jalen Tolbert going off, almost close to 1,200 yards. Now, MVS had 1,100 as well. Like, the first newcomer that we really see that did well, oh my gosh, Richie James. We haven't seen a real newcomer yet have over 1,000 yards. Kadarius Toney almost had 1,000. You have to go all the way down to Keenan Allen, who had 950 yards and 10 touchdowns. Now, Bobby Wagner had 5 interceptions for his new Commanders. What the heck? Isaiah Simmons on the Packers now with 4 picks as well. He had Devin White on his new team with 162 total tackles. Also, Jerome Baker on his new team with 136. Now, MVP goes to Mahomes, like that was just a known. Although, how in the world did Caleb Williams come in the top 10? I didn't think he did that well. Kyle Shanahan wins Coach of the Year. Surprise, surprise. Pacheco wins Offensive Player of the Year in the AFC. Defensive Player of the Year goes to TJ Watt. Offensive Rookie of the Year goes to Malik Neighbors, who again, I don't know how he failed the Dolphins. Defense goes to Braden Frisk on the Browns. In the NFC, that award goes to Jared Verse. And Caleb wins it over Drake May and Jaden Daniels, which I think Drake May might have been robbed here. Defensive Player in the NFC goes to Aiden Hutchinson, although Bobby Wagner got very, very close. So, Commanders fans, apparently Madden thinks Bobby Wagner is going to return to his prime. Final award here, Offensive Player of the Year goes to Brandon Ayuk in the NFC. Now, with all that craziness out of the way, it's now time to see who's going to win the Super Bowl next year. Now, the only real upset in the wild card round was the 7-seed Eagles beating the 2-seed Cowboys. Now, time to see who advances into the conference championship. I would just love to see the Giants make it for some reason. Well, that's not happening. So, after everything, hilarious enough, 3 out of the 4 teams that made it to last year's conference championship game made it again in 2024. The only newcomer was the Packers, who of course at this point want nothing but revenge over the 49ers after eliminating them last year in the playoffs. Now let's see, I just really, honest to God, hope this is not a rematch of last year's Super Bowl. And it's not. The Packers get a 1-point victory over the Niners to advance into the Super Bowl. Now poor Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, dude, they lost by a field goal. Dude, Lamar just cannot get over the hump. And I mean, he had a good game. They had 2 100-yard rushers and didn't even win. I have to admit, bro, I hope to God that the Packers win the Super Bowl, because I think zero, aside from Chiefs fans, zero human beings want to see the Chiefs three-peat. Come on, Jordan Love, save the NFL. He did it, let's go! After all the offseason moves, the Packers get it done. Finally, somebody dethrones the Chiefs. That is actually so funny because I recorded the intro clip of Josh Jacobs holding the Super Bowl trophy before I even made the video. So that's kind of a funny prediction from yours truly. Man, dude, this team was your Super Bowl champions. Xavier McKinney made a pretty decent choice in free agency. Now let's see if the Packers can go back-to-back next season. Oh, we did have some big players that we have to note did retire this offseason. Not Joe Flacco. And it looks like the biggest move of this following offseason was Tristan Wirfs getting the bag from Washington. Help is on the way for Broncos fans because, my God, dude, they got an 80-rated quarterback with their #1 pick, son of Matt Stafford. And brother, hilarious enough, dude, the Packers are right back in the Super Bowl next year, so they actually do have a chance to go back-to-back. Although the Ravens did finally get over the hump by beating the Chiefs this time. 3rd time's a charm, right? So honestly, I might be rooting for them to win so Derrick Henry can get a ring. The Ravens went crazy this year at 15-2. Unfortunately for the Broncos, their #1 pick at quarterback didn't really do too much. Derrick Henry did even better in his 2nd season as a Raven with less carries. 21 touchdowns is just not even fair. He's kind of getting overshadowed though, you know, by Joe Mixon, who's just going nuclear in Houston. Saquon's doing pretty good too, you know, as is Josh Jacobs having a chance to go back-to-back here. And at least Calvin Ridley's doing something half positive for my Titans. Aside from that, really none of the new receivers are doing too much with their new teams. What do you know? Mahomes wins MVP again. Derrick Henry didn't even win Offensive Player of the Year with those numbers. But as a Titans fan, deep down to my core, dude, I would love to see Derrick win a ring here. And he falls short as the Packers go back-to-back. Oh, I guess at least Tom Grossi's happy. Now, I guess it's time to wrap things up by seeing if the Packers can three-peat. But time to enter a somber mood as we see all the big names that retired this offseason. Is declined a little bit as a 32 overall running back, but he still has a chance to win a ring this next season. Now, unfortunately, Derrick and the Ravens didn't even make it to the playoffs this year, but the Packers did, so there is a shot for that three-peat. Well, you got the Chiefs back to winning Lombardi, so I think that's the perfect moment to end it. But after experiencing 3 seasons of the new NFL, I think it's safe to say we have some absolute madness coming our way. Now, even if your favorite team didn't do too well these past 3 seasons, hopefully you still did enjoy, and if you did, you can click right here to watch another video where hopefully your favorite team performs a little bit better. Now, before you click the next one here, you could like this video and subscribe. That would make me smile.